And then the day it released, I kind of had forgotten about it, but then I'm scrolling through TikTok and just all of a sudden see a clip, and I was like, I gotta watch this right now.
Chapter.
Something's up. Chief is willing to kill to keep us from finding out.
You ain't ever gonna be safe.
Hello everyone, Drive-By Movies here, and you're watching
Fresh releases.
My name is James.
My name's Blaise.
And today we're chatting the new film to hit Netflix, Rebel Ridge.
So I was thinking, what if we just walk away?
Well, now you're starting to talk.
I was like, nah.
Jeremy Saulnier's new movie is about the story of a former Marine who confronts corruption in a small town when local law enforcement unjustly seizes the bag of cash he needs to post his cousin's bail. So this is the latest film to hit Netflix. It feels like it was almost a sleeper launch. I didn't see any real promotional material up until maybe the week before this film. And I was like, oh, Jeremy Saulnier has a new movie and it's already coming out on Netflix next week. Sick. And then the day it released, I kind of had forgotten about it, but then I'm scrolling through TikTok and just all of a sudden see a clip, and I was like, I gotta watch this right now. After I saw the clip, which immediately convinced me, I put the movie on, and it's one of those movies where as soon as you start it, you better make sure that you have, I forget the exact runtime of the film, but just give yourself at least 2 hours, because I'm gonna assume you're gonna watch all the credits as well. But yeah, so just, you're gonna need to set the time aside to watch this movie, because after the film that we watched last week, I have to say that those are some of the two best films of the year, and it's cool that they came out back-to-back weeks. James, what did you think of this film?
And they honestly would make a perfect double feature pairing if you're going to a drive-in or if you're going to the right kind of theater that still has those kind of double features. Rebel Ridge. So it's been on my watch list for years, honestly. This movie, and there's a movie coming out from E.L. Katz and Simon Barrett called Azrael, that have just been on my watch list for years, just because I check out the filmmakers. Jeremy Saulnier is one of them. Simon Barrett's one of them, where just anything they're working on, I'll click on their name on IMDb or Letterboxd, see what to expect from them in the future. So this movie's been on my watch list forever. I wasn't paying attention to any of the new production stills or any teasers that might have been released. All of a sudden, just like you, the trailer was released and it was coming out a month later. And I wasn't impressed with the trailer at first, just because it didn't have that typical Jeremy look to it. All his movies have a very distinct look, whether it's the green, blue tints in Green Room, or, the up close music video shots of Murder Party, or just the slow, dread, cold feeling you get watching Hold the Dark. That wasn't in this trailer, I thought, but who needs it when you have a script just this damn good? One of the best movies of the year, as you were saying, who would have thought, just perfect pairings back to back. I don't know which one I like better just yet. I have to rewatch both, but fantastic thrillers with just with small budgets that tell a huge, wide, big story that just feels larger than life in such a simple 120-page script.
Definitely. I thought the writing in the script is so tight, kept you on the edge of your seat. Every time you weren't sure really where the story was going, another curveball was being thrown at you, and you were buckling in further into your seat to see what was going to happen. This was one of those films where I thought going in, this is just going to be another John Wick action style movie. We already got multiple films like that this year that were good, like Monkey Man, but still just left you being okay, it's not that original, because it's just put John Wick in this certain scenario. It always felt like this feels totally original. It kind of feels like it could be one of those movies, but it definitely takes a deep dive into more of a conspiracy turn, which I thought was a lot more entertaining. It's definitely already about something that I feel like people have heard about. Just the fact that, what is it called? Asset seizure, essentially, citizens asset seizure. Essentially, you can't have a certain large amount of money on you because it can get seized by police, just on conspiracy that it could be drug money, essentially. But obviously the plot goes a lot deeper than that, but there was a lot of great twists and turns in this script, and the film was just honestly, like one of the main things I think I wasn't excited for when I first saw the trailer or saw anything about it was just, I was like, who is this Aaron Pierre guy? Like, I'm like, can he lead a whole film? I know going into Blue Ruin, I was probably even thinking the same thing about Macon Blair. And I know Jeremy Saulnier has directed, you know, a decent amount of movies, but I'm like, is he going to be able to totally like harness some new guy to lead a whole movie, you know, by himself? I know we have Don Johnson in the movie, but is that going to be enough to sustain an entire movie? Dude, I was so wrong. Like, I think Aaron Pierre is the next big thing. I know we've said that this year about other actors, but I think this is somebody that, you know, we had no really, we'd seen him earlier this year in what was that movie, Fawn, or with the AI film we watched that was about like that robot. He is in a piece of, or Foe is the film. He's like the mysterious stranger that appears at the couple's house. And yeah, like, I mean, it was just, you know, a couple scenes that he's in that film, but seeing him like guide this whole film, have just that great subtleness when it comes to his acting. He has a very commanding presence. He dominates the screen. And I have to say, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be, you know, the next Marvel superhero. He's just going to get scooped up instantly after this movie just because he's such a great actor. And I mean, he obviously has that presence of, he feels like a superhero even watching this film.
Honestly, it's such a star-making performance because, if you look at his credits on IMDb or Letterboxd, you'll see he's only been in like 6 projects total, and a lot of them are projects that all came out within the last year, and still a lot of the projects are stuff that's yet to come out this year. Mufasa being one of them. He's taken over for James Earl Jones for the role of Mufasa. I still haven't seen that, so that's a whole other story, though. But with this, though, so, you know, one of the main stories that I kept hearing about this movie, I've only heard like one news story, and this happened, I don't know if it was a year ago or 2 years ago. I think it was right after quarantine ended, because this movie got delayed. I think it was supposed to start shooting in like 2020. Then we all know what happened. We all got shut down in March 13th, and they all came back, and John Boyega was the lead role. I can totally see it, honestly, after seeing They Clone Tyrone. He's got this very charismatic energy and presence and intensity that is needed for this role. And I would have loved seeing him in this movie, but just Aaron Pierre really stands out in this movie. He is like a force. I would not want to mess with this guy, and it's really intimidating seeing all these like jerks in this movie, like kind of feel nervous and intimidated around him, but they know that they have the upper hand just because the law is on their side, technically, because they technically are the law, despite them, you know, breaking a lot of rules and upsetting the audience. But just when he needs to show those intense moments, though, he really stands out. And, you know, he's a tall, big dude. You know, it's Hollywood. You can make any guy look huge, but that wasn't needed, just with the look of like his eyes in there. Like Kevin Smith, that we've all seen that like Superman clip where John Peters said Nick Cage is a caged animal. He's got the eyes of the killer and is perfect as Superman. That's how I saw Aaron Pierre in this movie, honestly. Because it's fantastic. He was absolutely fantastic in this movie.
Yeah, and it was, like you said, a huge star-making performance. I mean, we already seen the connection with Mufasa. I'm saying it now. He's getting scooped up as fast as possible for whatever next big superhero movie there is, because this guy definitely can carry a movie. And this is a movie that definitely, you know, relies on that performance from him, and he delivers it wholeheartedly. So, you know, I like the other performances in this film were pretty good, but I feel like you said John Boyega was originally cast in this role, and I can see the John Boyega version of this movie. I just don't think it was gonna be as like epic as this movie was, because this movie definitely was, you know, that level that I think I text you after I watch it, like, dude, you know, just I'm not gonna say anything about the movie, but I'm riding high on this movie and after Strange Darling last week. Definitely very content in the cinematic world. So yeah, I have to say, just if you have Netflix, do yourself a favor and watch this movie. It's incredible.
Yeah, I started this on a Sunday night at around 10 o'clock. I intended to watch only about an hour and a half and was going to watch the last hour on my Monday morning with some coffee before work. And I didn't even do that just because I was just hooked. right then and there. How could I leave this movie an hour into the intense moments that we saw? I haven't seen a movie this intense, honestly. I mean, a lot of people might bring up Uncut Gems, but I'll skip all the way back to Good Time, a movie that I felt more anxious watching. And very similar plots on just trying to get money to rescue someone to protect them from jail. But for the instance, in that movie, we have a despicable character that you're like, kind of rooting for just because he's got good intentions, but he's a terrible person and is like really messing up the lives of everyone around him. But versus this movie, we have a very nice, well-mannered person who's doing everything he can to protect his cousin, and we have terrible people who just get in his way, and you just want him to wreck all these people in the most violent revenge-esque ways. And the movie doesn't go in that direction, and it doesn't need to, essentially, unless some of the most despicable characters are in this movie, and they do get what's come to them. You could have expected a more violent gore-esque movie, but what we get still is a very very successful and just very powerful movie that's just like Jeremy Saulnier's back baby. Hold the Dark was I wouldn't say a misstep, but just it just felt like an odd place after going to after Green Room and Blue Ruin. It just feels like he took a step back into the gritty badass movies that I expected from him.
Definitely. And this is just that next evolution. It shows how much he's harnessed the power of, suspense. It feels like he's a master of suspense and how he turns the dial up in this movie and just kind of keeps you so entertained. He's kind of showed that he's a great script writer as well, because that's something where we kind of got all those inklings before, but then after Hold the Dark, isn't that movie from 2017 or so? It just felt like, I know that, the world shut down for 3 years, but it just felt like I kind of forgot about him, but he just comes back onto the stage with probably his best film, I have to say.
Yeah, I can see that. It's hard for me to pick, I guess you could say, but fantastic movie, one of the best of the year. Highly recommend checking out. It's on Netflix, so it should be easy for you to watch. I wish I could have saw this in theaters, because that must have been I can just imagine how great of a thriller this would make it seen on the big screen. But watching it from home, still a very solid movie, and definitely a movie that I'll be checking out again, which is very rare for Netflix originals, honestly. So great way to help support the show. Just please watch it. Let us know what you thought about it in the comments below, and we're highly recommending it.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click that notification bell to get all our latest updates.
And speaking of updates, be sure to catch all our social media links down below for Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, as well as our own personal Letterboxd accounts. That'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.